The first time Captain Elias Wren saw the alien queen, he understood why no one dared to touch her. The queen of the Sarayathi stood at the heart of her crystalline throne room, surrounded by walls that shimmered like liquid starlight. Her body glowed faintly with a bioluminescent aura, a blend of silver and violet that rippled across her skin like living fire. Her eyes, immense obsidian pools flecked with star-like sparks, seemed to pierce through layers of thought, memory, and soul. She was not merely a ruler. She was a living symbol of her people's survival. No Sarayathi warrior, priest, or citizen had ever touched her. To touch the queen was forbidden by sacred decree, a law etched into their very culture. To approach her uninvited was death. Even her royal guards, who shadowed her every step, bowed low and kept their hands to themselves. And yet Elias knew, somehow, that he would be the one to break that law. The arrival. Elias was the commander of the Ardent Dawn, a Terran vessel dispatched to the Sarayathi homeworld of the Lara Prime under a fragile treaty. Humanity and the Sarayathi had been enemies for decades, their wars spanning across shattered moons and scorched trade routes. But now, a looming galactic threat had forced both species into a reluctant alliance. That threat was the Drexil swarm, an ancient hive species that devoured planets down to bedrock. The Sarayathi had fought them before and lost entire star systems. Humanity's fleets, though powerful, had fared little better. Together, perhaps they might stand a chance. It was under these precarious circumstances that Elias was granted an audience with Queen Saraya Valathra, the most reclusive leader in the quadrant. Few humans had ever seen her. Fewer still had lived after displeasing her. When Elias entered the crystalline chamber, silence fell. Every alien eye turned to him, and he felt the weight of their unspoken warning. Do not step too close. Do not raise your voice. Do not forget where you stand. The queen regarded him without expression. Her voice, when it came, resonated not only in the air but in his bones, a telepathic undertone braided with sound. Human, why have you come before me? Elias bowed deeply, keeping his eyes lowered. To ask for alliance, your radiance. To seek counsel in the fight against the Drexil. And to offer what aid humanity can provide. For a moment, silence stretched long enough that he wondered if he had already erred. Then the queen spoke again. You come seeking alliance, she said slowly. Yet you carry the blood of my fallen in your history. Your kind burned my people's colonies. You rained fire upon our skies. Elias raised his eyes carefully. And your kind did the same to ours. But if we cling to that, the Drexil will consume us both. What I ask is not forgiveness. It is survival. Something flickered in the queen's gaze. Something like recognition. Or perhaps it was calculation. Very well, she said at last. You will remain in my city as envoy. We shall see if your words hold weight. To the untouchable queen. Over the following weeks, Elias lived among the Sarayathi in their shimmering crystal spires. He learned quickly that the queen was both revered and feared. The people sang hymns of her, called her the living radiance, yet kept a distance as though her very skin carried divine fire. When Elias asked a Sarayathi scholar why no one touched her, the alien's frilled crest stiffened. The queen bears the flame of Anareth, the scholar whispered. It is her birthright, her curse, and our shield. To touch her is to risk death. To touch her unbidden is blasphemy. But Elias noticed something else. Whenever the queen passed through the streets, though her people bowed, their gazes lingered with more sorrow than awe. There was admiration, yes, but also loneliness. He wondered if the untouchable queen was also, in truth, an isolated one. 3. The fracture. One night, a tremor shook the city. Elias rushed to the balcony of his quarters and saw flames spiraling from the outer defenses. The Drexil had struck sooner than expected, sending a vanguard of bioships to test Thalara's strength. The Queen herself descended to the battlefield. Her radiance flared like a second sun, and when she raised her arms, arcs of energy tore through the Drexil swarm, incinerating hundreds. Her people fought fiercely, but Elias saw the strain in her movements, the way her body faltered after each wave of power. The Drexil retreated, but the Queen collapsed upon her return. Her guards rushed forward, but stopped just short of touching her. They formed a circle around her fallen form, chanting prayers, waiting for her to rise on her own. Elias's instincts screamed at him to move. To hell with their laws, their traditions, she was dying. He sprinted past the guards, ignoring their shouts. Dropping to his knees beside her, he reached out and pressed his hand to her arm. A searing jolt ran through him like lightning. His vision flared white. For a heartbeat, he thought his flesh was melting away. But then his pulse steadied, and the Queen's trembling slowed beneath his grip. Her eyes opened wide with disbelief. "You touched me." The guards gasped in unison. Some raised weapons. But the Queen lifted a hand weakly to halt them. "No, he lives," she whispered. The flame did not consume him. She looked at Elias as though seeing him for the first time. For the bond. From that night onward everything changed. The Queen summoned Elias often, speaking with him not as a distant ruler but as if he were an equal. She questioned him about humanity, about its resilience, about why he had dared to touch her when even her own people would not. "Because you needed help," Elias said simply. "Where I come from, that matters more than laws." She studied him, her obsidian eyes reflecting galaxies. "Perhaps that is why the flame spared you. It recognizes intent." Rumors spread quickly. The human's envoy had touched the Queen and lived. Some Sarayathi called it blasphemy, demanding his execution. Others whispered it was prophecy, that an outsider would one day share the Queen's burden. For Elias and Saraya, the bond deepened. He began to sense her thoughts at times, faint impressions of emotion bleeding into his mind. And she, in turn, admitted something no one else knew. "The flame is killing me," she confessed one evening, her voice trembling with something that was not fear but weariness. "Every time I wield it, it burns me from within. Soon there will be nothing left of me. My people do not know. They must not know. Without me, they will despair." Elias reached for her hand again, more gently this time. She did not flinch. "Then maybe you don't have to carry it alone anymore." The last stand. The Drexil returned in full force weeks later. Their hive fleet descended upon the Lara Prime, darkening the skies with living ships that rained spores and fire. The city shook under the bombardment. The Queen gathered her armies, her radiance blazing brighter than ever before. But Elias could see it. The way her body strained, the way the flame threatened to consume her outright. She would burn herself alive to protect her people. When the Drexil's largest war beast descended upon the city, blotting out the stars, the Queen prepared to unleash the full force of her power. Elias grabbed her hand before she could strike.